under the no, that is not happening. That wouldn't happen. I would never expect that. That would be completely out of characteristic, out of character.
Do they have ties in Hawaii, or was that kind of random when you heard that they were there?
Do I have that?
The Daybells, did they?
Oh yeah, Lori and Charles, my brother, lived there for 2.5 years, and so absolutely, and that's Lori's favorite place on earth. So, but think about it. You go to an island in the middle of the Pacific to hide. You can't get off the island without showing your license to get on a plane or getting on a cruise ship. You have to have your license, your identification to get on a ship. So I just can't say that was a real smart place to go hide. But anyway, yes.
Do you think Lori just abandoned the children because she was done?
Yes, absolutely. She was done, and I guess she thought it's Lori time, so she got rid of everything or got them out of her way, just like she did Charles. Got him out of her way. Alex, I believe that I will be. I can't say. I don't know anything more than y'all do about whether his death was natural or not, but maybe it was. But I don't believe Tammy Daybell's was. There's too many people dying around Lori for it to all be natural. It just, unless she is the most unlucky person in the world, that's what I would think.
Do you think she was poisoned? Tammy Daybell.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I knew that I've heard that she was in great health, preparing for a marathon run and things like that. But other than that, I mean, to me, if I'm preparing for a run like that, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be taking care of myself. I'm going to be doing all the right things. So, poison, I do believe that is not too far from something I wouldn't put past Lori at this point.
Or Chad?
Or I don't know. I don't know Chad enough to say. I don't know.
We will ask one more question so we can let her go.
Thank you. Okay. Who's it? Last.
I've got one.
Okay.
Did police give you any indication? I know they're reinvestigating Tammy's death. They exhumed her body. They went back to the home. Did police give you any information about what they found in that?
Oh no. I've got no information on that whatsoever. Like y'all. That's how I learn about it. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank y'all. Those that have been chasing us for a day and a half. I'm sorry. We're just trying to do the best we can.
Get some rest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell Lori we said hi.
I will do that.
I'm going to try to start this back more towards the beginning. I just realized it was on. This is a press conference from the missing Daybell children's grandmother. Apparently the sound is on their end, so hang on, everyone. No, we just came on, Shelligan. And they have no sound here.
Comfortable with.
Tell you if Chad or Lori are still in Hawaii. Do you know where they are?
I know that they're not in Hawaii. The police didn't have to tell us, but I was informed that they are still there and probably sunning on the beach somewhere while we're sitting here wondering where the kids are.
And police didn't tell you what would be next with the investigation?
No, I don't. I'm hoping for some type of consequence that will get her attention, to make her have to talk. And other than that, there's nothing more that I can hope for. There's nothing more I can do. I do feel very confident that law enforcement is doing everything they can. This is such an unusual situation
It's
that,
the Chad Daybell case, the Chad and Lori
I
Daybell,
think with
the two
interested
missing
everything
children
that
from
the
Rexburg,
judge
Idaho.
and whoever makes the decisions as to how it
I'll
progresses
pause
from
this for just a
here
second and
as far
explain.
as what they're going to do.
So the parents, actually just the mother, had until 5 p.m. Local time in Rexburg, Idaho, which was about 32 minutes ago, to produce the two missing children. The grandmother here has put together this press conference, which is what we're watching. The mother did not produce the children. The Madison County Prosecutor's Office in Idaho released a statement saying that it will be up to the judge in the case whether an arrest warrant is issued or not for the mother if she doesn't produce the children. So it's unclear what will happen since they did not produce the children by the deadline. It's a very bizarre case indeed. Spouses have been murdered, killed under suspicious circumstances. Lori, her ex-husband, her not ex-husband, but her deceased husband, was shot and killed by her brother, Alex Cox, I think. I know his last name is Cox. And now he was found dead, and they are not releasing the circumstances about his death. Now, the Chad Daybell, his wife died under what they thought was natural causes back in the summer. They since have exhumed her body, and they have now considered it a suspicious death. So the parents, not the parents, Lori Daybell, which is the former Lori Vallow, had until 5 p.m. local time in Rexburg, Idaho, which was about 34 minutes ago, to produce her two missing children, a 17-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And she did not do that. The grandmother had a press conference. It obviously just went off on me, and hopefully I'll be able to find that here in a minute. But that's what we was watching. I wasn't going to come on until 7:30, but when I seen Kelly shot me a message and said that they had a press conference going live. So what I done was I went ahead and went live with it so we could watch part of that press conference. Now, also today, news is that, let me get to this. The Fotis Dulos has been pronounced dead 2 days after he was taken to the hospital from a suicide attempt. It was first reported that he had died, and then it was reported that he had a pulse and was in dire condition in intensive care, and his condition was grave. Now, take this for what it's worth, because his lawyers also the other day said that he was dead, and it's his lawyers who are releasing this information now, and they say Fotis Dulos died Thursday, which is 2 days after he was rushed to that hospital in the wake of a suicide attempt for his estranged wife, Jennifer Dulos. And he was facing murder charges in the death of his wife, and he was pronounced dead at 5:32 p.m., his lawyer, Norm Pattis, said outside of the hospital, I guess in a some sort of press conference. Now, he also says that it's been a truly horrific day for the family, filled with difficult decisions, medical tests, and meeting the requirements to determine death. As to those who contend that Mr. Dulos' death reflects a consciousness of guilt, we say no. We say it was more a conscious overborne with the weight of a world that was too busy to listen and wanted a story more than it wanted the truth, he said. Who can relate to that? Oh, Freya, thank you so much for that. I see your sticker. I'm actually watching the comments on my phone, so thank you for that. That's very kind of you. I'm looking down because I'm reading my comments because I'm also watching the screen. Now, Jennifer Dulos had been missing since May 24th when she dropped their children off at a private school, and I think it's pronounced New Canaan, and that was on May 24th. The case, which includes tales of a bitter and contentious divorce, a compilation of evidence from surveillance video, and a high-stakes battle over real estate, has sparked widespread interest and attention. So, the lawyer says, actually, Carrie Luft, a spokesman for Jennifer's family, said this is a horrific tragedy all around. Please respect the privacy of the families and loved ones involved. So, and I did also read that the attorneys for Fotis Dulos will be asking the court to proceed with the criminal charges against Dulos despite his death, so his name can be cleared, is what they're wanting. And they filed a motion late Thursday. Pattis asked the court to substitute Dulos' estate as the defendant in the case and proceed to trial, which is interesting. And the reason they say that, Pattis says Mr. Dulos' children should not be subjected to a lifetime coping with the fictional reality that their father murdered their mother in cold blood on the basis of baseless and rampant speculation. That's what he said in the motion. It went on to say that Mr. Dulos' right to confront these charges and to assert his innocence does not die with him. It says that move puzzled some. I've never heard anything like that, said former Chief State Attorney Christopher Marano. The statute for murder says the person is to be tried and not an entity. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if they're even able to go to court, proceed to trial as the estate in place of Fotis Dulos. It says Fotis Dulos' death Thursday marked the end of a hectic 72 hours that started Tuesday at noon. Faced with the possibility of going back to prison because of issues with his bail, Dulos made an attempt on his life. Sources said that Dulos was in a vehicle inside the garage of his Jefferson Crossing home for at least an hour, inhaling noxious carbon monoxide on Tuesday. He clamped a vacuum hose to the tailpipe of his Chevrolet Suburban and ran it into the vehicle. Wow. It says Dulos was initially believed to be dead and was actually confirmed dead by several news outlets at his Farmington home Tuesday, but after nearly a half an hour of CPR, a faint pulse was found, and he was eventually rushed by helicopter to the Jacoby Medical Center to use their hyperbaric chamber. Farmington police found Dulos after receiving a call to do a wellness check on him after he failed to turn up in Stamford Superior Court for a hearing to potentially revoke his $6 million bond placed on him after he was arrested earlier in the month for the murder of Jennifer Dulos. The South Carolina company that secured the bond had raised concerns about whether real estate he posted as collateral had been overvalued. Dulos' family from Greece arrived at Jacoby early Thursday morning to meet with doctors who have kept Dulos, 52, medically alive for the past few days until they could get to New York. His family came in from Greece and decided to donate his organs so that he will live on in some form in the assistance he can provide to others with their own individual struggles, his lawyer Pattis says. So, man. So a lot of cases we've been reporting on here lately have really popped up. Says his doctors worked to keep Dulos alive in New York Thursday. State police detectives spent the early morning hours combing through his Jefferson Crossing home looking for notes and other evidence about the whereabouts of his wife's body. Sources have said that the police did find a note claiming his innocence, but no other evidence leading to the whereabouts of Jennifer Dulos during the search of the Fotis Dulos home. So now that leads us to speculate, will the girlfriend finally come out and talk? You know, a lot of people thought, she was possibly scared to talk, and she might still be scared to. Who knows? He might have connections. We don't know what happened with that. She could come out, and there's speculation that she was dismembered and spread along 30 stops. There's been all kinds of speculation with this case. So it's hard to say. Now, the note that was found at the home claiming Dulos' innocence in the disappearance of his wife, the note said his attorneys have the evidence to prove he is innocent. There was nothing found during the search that gave any indication on where her body may be. Dulos is accused of murdering his wife, Jennifer, his estranged wife, on May 24th, lying in wait for her in the garage of their New Canaan home after she dropped off her children at school, according to court records. Police believe Dulos attacked her in the garage and drove off with her body, which has not been found. The couple had been going through a long and contentious divorce, and that included a battle over the custody of their children. A probate judge last year granted custody of their 5 children to their maternal grandmother, Gloria Farber. Dulos lawyer Norm Pattis has floated several theories as to what happened to Jennifer, including suggesting that she may have staged her own disappearance in a plot similar to Gillian Flynn's 2012 novel, Gone Girl, in which a wife pretends to vanish to frame her husband for murder. That's interesting. He also said that Farber Dulos may have engaged in a form of revenge suicide after receiving alarming medical news and suffering reversals in the couple's bitter divorce and custody battle. So either way, these children are left without either parent now, it seems, which is the true sad story in all of this. And it says he's survived by his children as well as his sister and other family in Greece and Spain. So the sad thing is you've got these children now without a mother or a father. But it sounds like they were in the custody of their maternal grandmother anyway, which, I mean, is who knows why that was decided by the court. We don't have that information right now. Let's see what else they say here. Just scanning over this here real quick. So anyway, that's the story on Fotis Dulos. He has been pronounced dead today at 5:32 p.m. Eastern Time, which was about 2 hours ago. They did say they was going to donate his organs so that his legacy can live on in some form. No, Cheryl, that was Rexburg, Idaho time. And the deadline has come and passed about 45 minutes ago. A calculated hit. Oh, on Fotis Dulos. So that's a good question. You have a good point in saying that. Thank you, Tammy Nelson. Maybe the person that receives them, they won't tell them whose organs they are. I don't know. I've never been involved in a situation like that. Does anybody in the chat know if you receive an organ from an organ donor, are you advised of who the organs belong to, or is that an option, or does anyone know? That's actually a very interesting question. So, you got good questions. People don't know whose organs they get. Okay. I've always thought that if both parties agreed, the people could meet, not the dead person, obviously, who donated the organs, but the family could meet the person that received the organs if both parties were consensual, so that they could see, whose life was, spared or changed for the better, or what have you, in case something like this came along. Only if both parties agree to it. Yeah, I believe that's what I thought was what would be the case. Me personally, that's a good question. That'd be a good poll question. Let's say if you needed a transplant, and your organs was going to come from someone accused of murder, for instance, foetus doulos. Would you guys want the organs? I don't know. That's even just sitting here thinking about that. That question popped in my mind, and I'm thinking, well, if you're going to die or have a real difference in the quality of life, that's an interesting question. Would you want to know? I don't believe I would want to know. I would just believe I would say I don't want to know, just for the simple fact of that reason right there. That's a good question. We ought to do a poll question on our Facebook page, True Crime Files, about that. If you needed an organ transplant, would you want an organ from someone, for instance, foetus doulos? Kelly and Sarah, let's do that. Let's do a poll question on the Facebook page, because I'd like to find out what everybody's answers would be on that. Antoinette, that's why I say I'd like to hear, everybody's different opinions on that. I think that would be a pretty good, interesting question to see the responses from on it. Now, also today, I'll make my notes the old-fashioned way. So that's the story on foetus doulos. Hopefully, his wife Jennifer's family can find out the whereabouts of her body and get a proper funeral, burial, whatever they need for, not necessarily closure, but I mean, think of it like this: if your family member was out there and they was missing, I would want to know regardless. I would want them to be in my possession of where I could properly, if I wanted to bury them or have a service, or I would just want to know where they were. And that's just my opinion on it. Now, then also today, it came out that Peyton Houston, now, me and Kelly was talking about this right before I came on. It's being said that she apparently died of an accidental overdose of methamphetamine and morphine. And I find that interesting because she sent the text that said she didn't know who she was with and she could possibly be in trouble. Morphine can be injected. It can be taken many different ways. And I just find it that. Now, let's just say, for instance, this is just a speculation. If it was an accidental overdose, and the person that was the arrest warrant was issued for, why did he go on the run? Why did he not call an ambulance, the police, 911, anything to get her help? Did he panic? Did he think, oh my God, she's here, she's deceased, I'm going to be blamed for this? He's already a sex offender on the registry. He's a convicted felon, and then this might happen. May, I did, and it slipped my mind. I just be honest with you, May. I'm sorry about that. I will go back and read it. What I done was I just checked it, and then I did not go back to read it. So I do apologize for that. And I will look at it as soon as I get off the live tonight. So with that said, if they were doing drugs and it is an actual accidental overdose, which we don't know, we really need more information, really is what we need to find out. And maybe the person wanted, for the charges of tampering with her corpse or tampering with evidence, whatever charge they have on him. Maybe he might be able to answer some of these questions. And then again, who knows if he'll answer them truthfully. So there's a lot to be gathered there. If this was an accidental overdose, chances are the charges probably won't be upgraded, that they'll probably just stay what they are. Again, that's just speculation on my part. And I wrote down here: did they panic and bury her after they found her deceased? That's just a little note I wrote to myself because it's impossible. The Peyton Houston case is so comparable to the Savannah Spurlock case here in my hometown that it's eerily similar in a lot of ways. And of course, in Savannah's case, her person was actually now charged with the murder um, and everything like that. That's just a little note I had wrote to myself. Were they doing drugs? Did this overdose happen? Did did he wake up and find her dead, and then he panics and he buries her because he knows he's going to be accused of killing her? We need more information in this case right now. If that is officially the cause of her death, we still need a lot more information because we still can only speculate as to what happened. Apparently, if they've ruled it an accidental overdose, they obviously have some reason to, believe that it is an accidental overdose and not intentional, or anything. I don't know how they could determine that if someone forced you to take something, or if you took it yourself, especially if it was given by injection. And I was like, that's just all me speculating. I think she possibly had a drug problem in the past. I do not know that for 100% sure. That's all. And then also the Daybells had till 5 p.m. today to produce the two missing children, the 17-year-old daughter and the 17-year-old son, the 7-year-old son. That was 5 p.m. local time in Rexburg, Idaho. That was almost an hour ago, and she did not produce the children. And I have wrote here the Madison County Prosecutor's Office in Idaho says it will be up to the judge whether he issues an arrest warrant for the mother for not producing the children. I don't understand how this couple can just walk away when you have two children missing. It looks to me like, the police are going to say, well, where's your kids? And if you don't have a good enough answer, if they say, oh, well, they're here in Arizona, and then they go check and those children aren't in Arizona, there's obviously going to be questions asked of where are these kids? And eventually, if you don't produce these kids, something needs to be done. Danette there says she could care less. And I believe that too, because, sources have said that this place they were staying at in Hawaii was, a multi-million-dollar home. It wasn't like a resort. It was like a house. I believe that's what Kelly told me. And onlookers had seen them sunbathing for a week out on the beach and not seen any children at all. So that's, the police need to say, where are these kids at? It looks to me like if you are responsible for two children and you cannot say where those two children are, there has to be some sort of charge that they could hold you on and say, look, it's either here or there. We need to know exactly where these kids are. In my opinion, I don't see how she can just say, oh, I don't know where they are. They were at my, just for instance, my uncle's house in Arizona. They go there and check and they're not there. Eventually, lady, if you have custody and you are responsible for these children that are underage, then something has to give here. I don't know. But I live in a small town, and I just know that if anything like this happened, hell, if they had a missing case of beer at a store down the street, the police around here would hold you till the case of beer was found. So I just can't understand how there's somewhere in this country that two kids can be missing and everybody's just standing around with their thumb up their butt, not doing anything. I just don't get that. So who knows? Yes, somebody's talking about the Aaron Hernandez on the docuseries they did on Netflix about Aaron Hernandez. I've heard that's really good. Anybody that doesn't know, Aaron Hernandez was the New England Patriots player who was charged with murder, and then he ended up committing suicide in jail. Kelly says, "Don't watch that." Aaron Hernandez, he played football for the Florida Gators. Went on to become a Pro Bowl tight end for the Patriots. Just had signed a multi-million-dollar year contract, and I mean, I don't get it when people have all of this and then they go out and just kill somebody. I don't get it. I don't know if you guys remember. Years ago, there was a football player named Ray Caruth that played for the Carolina Panthers, and he didn't want to pay child support. He was making millions of dollars a year, and he didn't want to pay child support, so he murdered the person that was pregnant with his child. And I shouldn't say that because I can't remember if the Kelly, do you remember that case when Ray Caruth shot and killed or had it done, the murder of his pregnant girlfriend or fiance, whoever she was? Did the child end up living? I can't remember that. The baby lived. See, that's what I thought. I thought there was something that the child actually lived, and but I just don't understand how these star athletes that have all this money and all this fame, and because they don't want to pay child support, they would kill, someone. I don't get that. But how we got from here to there, I do not know. Ray Caruth, Kelly, he played for the Carolina Panthers. This has probably been over 10 years ago now. He was a player for the Carolina Panthers, and his girlfriend, fiance, she was pregnant. He didn't want to pay child support, and he either had her murdered or did the murder. I can't remember. I need to look that case up because I don't want to throw all this out there and be completely way off base. It's odd that I remember his name, Ray Caruth. I don't even know why I remembered that. And simply, Sissy just said Ray's out of jail. Well, that's interesting. And Jeannie says he looks just like his dad. That's a case we need to go over, guys, is the Ray Caruth case. That's an interesting case. Like I said, he was a football player from Carolina. Virginia DeFeo says that Ray Caruth, her name was Sharika Adams, he had her killed. And that's what I can remember. And Kelly says he was released in 2018 and wants to see his son. So imagine that. How long ago has that been now? I've got Google right here. I can look it up. And Angie just says it's been 20 plus years. It does not seem like that's even possible that could have been 20 plus years ago. Yeah, I remember that, Lara. She lived long enough to say it was Ray who shot her. That's a case we need to talk about and go over because that was an intriguing case. I was very young at the time. I can remember because I actually was I liked the Carolina Panthers at the time. Geez, look up the interview with the Charlotte Observer. Good interview. Chris Benoit, Carolyn Brenner. What about the wrestler that killed his wife, son, and himself? He took many hits. Yep, I'm a professional wrestling fan. His name was Chris Benoit. They said that they studied his brain after his death, and that his brain resembled that of an 80 to 90-year-old man. That's Chris Benoit. And Chris was a good wrestler. His son, he has another son named David, and he's actually a wrestler in like the performance center for WWE right now. Um, they said that Chris Benoit's child, the one he murdered, they said that he had some sort of growth problem, and that they believed Chris Benoit was giving his son growth hormone steroids shots. I don't know if that was ever proven or what, but now they believe. Okay, so the story with Chris Benoit is, and I know this because I'm a wrestling fan. Chris Benoit was supposed to be at a pay-per-view, which is kind of like a big deal TV show. They usually do once a month in the WWE. And he was actually scheduled to win the world title the night, and he no-showed the event. So obviously he no-shows. They call to start checking on him. He's leaving bizarre messages, texts. People are starting to get real worried. They do a welfare check, and he has killed his wife, his son. His son was only like 7 or 9 years old at the time, and then himself. And they said that they actually believe that Chris Benoit killed his wife and his child with his wrestling hold that he used to make his opponents submit in the wrestling ring to. So it's very... Chris Benoit is one of the reasons that there is such a wellness policy in things like WWE. Used to, you'd have chair shots to the head. They don't do any kind of strike to the head whatsoever anymore, because one of the main reasons is Chris Benoit and what he done. The Canadian crippler, he killed his wife and 7-year-old son. Yep, exactly. The journey to justice. I remember it very well. I remember it when it happened. There is a interview you can go watch on YouTube. They do of Chris Jericho, who is still an active wrestler right now, and also Bret the Hitman Hart, who is a retired wrestler on the when the death happened. So you can go watch that. You can find it on YouTube pretty easily. Who's Patrick Mahoney? Gingy. Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, if any of you guys haven't seen the story on Chris Benoit, just go type it into YouTube. There's several shows you can watch about it. Who are you talking about, Kelly? Who you don't think who killed them? The Aaron Hernandez case? An interesting story about the Chris Benoit case is his wife that he killed was named Nancy Benoit, and she was formerly Nancy Sullivan. She was married to another wrestler named Kevin Sullivan. They did a storyline in on the wrestling show that he was having an affair with her. And to make this storyline look believable, they had them staying at the same hotel together, going out to eat together, spending a lot of time in public together. And what happened is they actually developed a relationship due to the storyline that they were putting on in wrestling. And she ended up leaving her husband and divorcing, and ended up marrying Chris Benoit, and they had the son together. Daniel is the son that he murdered. which is terribly sad. Yeah, in wrestling, it's me. You know, if you're a wrestling fan, I think you are because of some of the things you post. No, I'm not drying any clothes. It's my son and his girlfriend. They're cooking. So, yeah, you're right, Justice. It does. Ginger, I don't think so. We watched a press conference when I first come on that the grandmother was putting on that said she did not show up and produce the children. And then the Madison County Prosecutor's Office came out and said that they will leave it up to the judge whether he signs off on a warrant to have her placed in custody for not coming up with the children. So, very interesting. Yeah, I do too. Did anybody watch the Royal Rumble Sunday night? Hello, Jackie. Thank you. Oh, really, Ginger? I didn't know that. Yeah, Fotis Dulos has been pronounced dead officially. Chris Benoit should technically be in the Hall of Fame for his wrestling career, and he will never get there because of what he done in his real life by murdering his family and then committing suicide. But as far as his wrestling career, in my opinion, he should be in the Hall of Fame for it. I was going to say, it's me. What? The thing about Fotis Dulos is you know, they originally confirmed him dead Tuesday, and now it's Thursday, and now they've confirmed him dead again. And this was confirmed by major news outlets. It's just not some, little channel that, doesn't have any credibility. These were confirmed by ABC, NBC, CBS. Technically, I don't know if CBS confirmed it, but I know NBC and ABC did. And his lawyers want to use his real estate as an entity to go forward in the trial to try to clear his name, apparently, so his kids will not have to grow up with this, what they call a fictional reality, is what they referred to it as, his attorney, Pattis. They did say he was pronounced dead. I'm reading my notes here at 5:32 p.m. Eastern Time, which was almost 3 hours ago now. They said they mainly kept him alive so his family from Greece could arrive here in the United States, I guess, so they could see him. And they also are solas. The family has made the decisions to donate his organs, and we're going to put that question up on the Facebook page. If you was in need of an organ transplant and your organs was going to come from someone, perhaps, for instance, Fotis Dulos, would that change your mind on getting the organ? Or, basically just a question on what would your thoughts be if you or a loved one received a donated organ from someone such as Fotis Dulos. I'm going to put that question up on my Facebook page. I'm really interested in reading what you guys' comments are to that. I think I really need to think about it before I make a response to it, but I am going to post my response as well. And yeah, Gina, that's true. It's just basically a hypothetical question. If you knew, I think that if both parties agree, you can find out who done it. Thank you, Soul Eyes. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. I think that if both parties agree, you can find out who donated the organs to you, and so forth. But just from my perspective, I would like to know your guys' thoughts and comments on that. If you knew, would that change? If you found out a family member received an organ transplant from someone like Fotis Dulos, or hypothetically any murderer, we're just going to hypothetically say someone like Fotis Dulos, how would you feel? Would it change your thinking on organ donation? I don't know. I'm really interested in seeing what your guys' comments are about it. Yeah, and a lot of people say that it wouldn't matter to them, and I think a lot of people, if it meant life or death or quality of life, probably feels the same way. I want to actually think in depth about this question before I answer it, because I don't know. To me, it's an interesting question with, I guess, what would be your choice. Maybe that's one of the reasons they keep it anonymous the way they do. I'm sure that's one of the reasons. I don't know. I've never known anyone myself personally that's had. Well, I take that back. I went to school with a guy who had a heart transplant, but after he had the heart transplant later on in life, probably 10 years after high school, and we was friends in high school, but you know how, like, when you leave school and you don't remain friends with someone, you lose touch with them after school. I actually seen him at the Christmas parade one year, and he told me what he had went through and how he had to get a heart transplant, and it shocked me because he's a young man. So that's the only person I know that I can think of that's ever even been in a scenario close to something to do with, for instance, organ donation. But I think the comments from you guys will be very interesting, and we'll see. We'll see what you guys say about it. I'm going to think about my response and put it up there. Kelly says, wouldn't carbon monoxide poison your organs? Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that. Huh. I can see it poisoning the lungs, probably the heart. I don't know. That's a good question, Kelly. Kelly, you can think circles around me. Didn't they make a scary movie or a horror or suspense movie a few years ago? And I know they don't do eyeballs as organ donation, don't get me wrong. But didn't they do a movie a few years ago where they gave somebody that needed eyes as organ donation, and they used a murderer's eyes, and then that turned the person? It was like a Twilight Zone episode or something. Do any of you guys remember that? Or they gave them the murderer's heart. I can't remember. There was a movie or something like that came out, and they either gave him the eyes or the heart of a murderer, and then he ended up turning into a serial killer himself. there was a movie of that. So they do use eyes for donation. Okay, so see, I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm fairly ignorant when it comes to a lot of stuff. But thinking of that, I know there was a movie, and I can't think of the name of it, but I'm going to look that up and find out what it is. But what they done was they had a movie where the person was in need of a transplant, and I'm thinking it's either a heart or the eyes. And he received the transplant from a serial killer. The serial killer was actually executed on death row in this movie. And then they donated the organs, and one of the organs donated went to someone, and they became a serial killer also. And somebody says, Sylvester Stallone, I can see you, with I spelled EYE. So I need to look that up. The soul leaves the body immediately. But I do remember that movie, and I cannot think of what it is. But I'll have that for you tomorrow. I'll bring it back up. But anyway, guys, it's been an hour, and so we pretty much went over 3 cases today. I'm sure there'll be more information tomorrow. If anything comes out, breaking news tonight or anything like that, I'll come back on and we can go over some more stuff. But so we talked about Fotis Dulos, Peyton Houston, and also the Daybells. Chad Daybell, and she's Lori Daybell now. She's the former Lori Vallow, the former Mrs. Charles Vallow. So we went over those, and if anything comes out breaking on Fotis Dulos tonight, we'll come back on if you guys want to. And if not, I'll probably see you guys around 7:30 tomorrow night. Around that time, anywhere between 7 and 8, I would say. But thank you guys for spending part of your evening with me, and I enjoyed spending part of my evening with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and you guys take care. Good night.